I know I'm playing catch up with regards to the experiences that I'm currently having with this most recent guy in my little world. Um, I think all four of you know the current four members, but falling in love with an older married man as a teenager definitely did a pretty good number on me. And that entire experience really set the tone for what my world would be like in romantic relationships, meaning I would develop a pattern of being drawn to unavailable men, unavailable in one way or multiple ways. And as such, um, would find myself settling for dynamic relationship dynamics with men that were not really serving either one of us due to the fact that they were emotionally unavailable or physically unavailable or actually in committed relationships meant that I certainly wasn't getting, there was a limit on what a boundary, a very hard boundary on what I was able to get in any of those relationships. And even what I was providing them was not really serving them because in a lot of situations it wasn't there was no I don't know there was just no it was an unequal exchange of energy, and I certainly didn't have the full conscious awareness of an understanding of my own pattern and what I was perpetuating. Now, when I took the leap last in 2013 with that, my most recent ex, there were some red flags really early. But I remember very consciously saying, I don't know if these are red flags because they're really red flags, or if they're because they're red flags because I've been running from this for the past 20 years. And I had been running from it because of how the thing with the married guy, obviously it was going to end. And when that finally came crashing down and the friendship had to end, it almost destroyed me at 19 years old, 19, 20 years old. It almost destroyed me and very much closed off my heart at that point. But the love that I shared with that older married man, I said then, I will continue to say now, and I believe I will always feel this way, that it was the real deal. It was the real deal at that time. That was a deep, deep soul connection. And neither one of us knew what to do with it because the circumstances meant we were breaking all sorts of rules, least of which the fact that he was married, let alone the age difference, let alone the age I was when I first met him, which was underage. And it just, it set, in certain way, it set the highest bar for me, the highest bar of what a close relationship, what I really wanted, what I got from him. He was everything. Father figure, best friend, older brother, boyfriend, all wrapped up into one. Inspired me. He brought out the best in me. And I know I did the same for him, despite only being a girl, not a woman. Because as many that knew me when I was younger was well beyond my age in a lot of ways. But the one way that I've always been kind of behind is in an actual lived intimate relationships. I haven't had hardly any. After that came crashing down, I started dating the guy that would become my husband, now ex-husband. And I There was no way that I was actually in love with him. I didn't even know who I was. I didn't know who I was without the older married guy's reflection for me and presence and guidance in my life. I didn't know who I was without my team. When I got to college, the team and the experience of my teammates was very, very different than what I experienced in high school. And I didn't know where to start to figure these things out. So I married somebody ultimately for security. And of course, it wasn't going to work out. So it's been a long journey, getting divorced just 3 years after our marriage because I clearly made a choice that demonstrated to me I had to get out of that marriage. It wasn't right for him. It wasn't right for me. It wasn't fair to him. It wasn't fair to me. And then the work began. But this thing with this guy here in 2025, it's hard. It's hard. Um, it's hard to experience an aspect of somebody that you know is there and real and to connect to it and then have it kind of be gone. And you hold on to it because you want to believe that you didn't imagine it. You want to believe that it was real. You want to believe that the other person really did have some level of conscious awareness and that he really means the words coming out of his mouth. But when you feel like I do, I've been shown time and time again why I should never doubt my feelings. And my feelings just keep telling me whatever it was that we were intended to be for one another has passed. And I don't want to accept that. I don't want to accept that. But I can't agree again to a situation where I'm working so hard. And actually, if you got to work that hard, is it really a relationship that you want at all? I mean, it's not that I was working that hard, but I was working to consider him. I was working to harmonize. I was working to feel where the overlap was. I was working to feel what I could compromise and what I couldn't compromise. And every day was different, is different. But he's a guy of comfort, and growth comes when there's discomfort. This isn't an ever expanding guy looking to have a conscious spiritual journey with his life. I don't know why I'm having a hard time shaking this. I don't know why I find myself still wanting him so much physically. There's that part of me that always feels like even if there's just a tiny hole to communicate with them, I get drawn to that tiny chance. I could be the one that connects to them in that way. And honestly, when you do connect to somebody who's not really walking around living that deeply, that makes me sound like an asshole. I'm not trying to say he's not living deeply, but he's, it's just hard. And I just wish there could be some sort of acknowledgement that he understands. I don't know. I guess there's nothing to understand. He's a grown ass man. He's a grown ass man. He's allowed to want things to be comfortable, easy, and he's allowed. And I'm not comfortable and easy because constant growth and expansion is constant periods of discomfort. And I've grown comfortable being uncomfortable. I'd like to find, I don't think it needs to be as dominated by the challenge and the discomfort. I'd love to kind of find the happy medium. And that's where I think I'm drawn to him because there's so much room for growth. There's also so much there to play with, but he's so uncomfortable. He's so uncomfortable now. There's nothing to talk about. You know, the laughing we did, that was always going to be short-lived. How long can you reminisce or tell old stories? And I'm not really about the reminiscing and going back. I mean, I am, but I'm much more about the creation of going forward, the co-creation. He doesn't even, he couldn't care less. So it's just hard. That's all. It's hard. And I still don't understand. I don't understand because he doesn't communicate fully, other than to say, I told you I didn't want anything serious. This got too serious. Well, okay, but I'm not the only one that made it more serious. I was, it takes two to tango, man. I just wish he had the ability to share what he was feeling more. Just be so much easier to hear and to talk through. It'd be so much more genuine and authentic and real than the surface level bullshit. I guess I just have to let go. I don't let go well.